Premium luxury SUVs that slot just underneath the Germans but give you almost the same potential. We're showcasing the 2026 Acura MDX super handling all-wheel drive A-Spec in double apex blue pearl over red interior. Last year we got updates to the interior and the front grille. What are we getting this year? I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and I'm going to go over some pros and cons while I'm explaining the full specs of the exterior and the interior. We're going to take it for a drive so you can see how that naturally aspirated V6 handles in a day-to-day drive and give it a little bit of a performance, and we're going to also compare this against the competition. In the front, jewel eye LED headlights and chicane LED daytime runnings. They're automatic on and off. The lower is going to get the LED fog lights, and that starts on this trim. You get the glossy black with the matte black, and then that's going to surround the lower. The Pentagon grille gets the glossy black. Last year, they changed it because they used to have a border, so now it's opened up, keeping the motion design in effect. The A-Spec will get the exterior sport appearance package. Now, comparing this against competition, Lexus, they're not going to have a naturally aspirated V6. They went Turbo 4 for the RX, and if you go to the TX, you're going to have to spend about $80,000 to $90,000, maybe a little more depending on the features, to get an actual 6-cylinder engine, and then it's still not going to just be a naturally aspirated 6 like this. Going against Infiniti, the same thing. They went Turbo 4 for 2025, and it's going to be a carryover engine for 26. They are changing the exterior to be a little bit more sporty and adding a sport trim, but yet again, nothing is going to be more performance driven than this at a $64,000-ish price point. We have underneath the hood a 3.5 liter V6 producing 290 horsepower with 267 pound-feet of torque paired to a 10-speed automatic transmission. This is super handling all-wheel drive, so it's going to put the MPGs at 19 for the city, 25 for the highway. All trims receive the Pano moonroof, but when you go into the base MDX, you're only going to have the power trunk lid with the walkaway access for the front doors. You have to go up into the technology in order to get it for the back doors, where you walk up and it'll just automatically unlock and lock. The base model will integrate the LED turn signals. It's going to have a heated side view mirror, and it'll have the reverse tilt. But these power folding mirrors, you have to go up into the technology package to get it. Weight distribution is going to be 57-43, and it's going to have these 20-inch shark gray split 5-spoke alloy wheels. The front disc is ventilated at 13.8 inch. The rear is a solid at 13 inch with agile handling assist, integrated dynamic system, a front stabilizer bar. The adaptive air suspension with auto leveling is only going to be on the Type S, a double wishbone front suspension with a multi-link rear suspension, and amplitude reactive dampers. 7.3 inches of clearance, and if you need more, then you go up into the Type S, which is a completely different animal. They do throw a turbocharge under there, and it's a twin scroll turbo, and that will give it a lot more performance, especially if you're comparing it against Infiniti, because they don't have anything that will be comparable to that. It's going to be more of a luxury and a sporty style, whereas Acura captures all of that, so it actually puts it right on par with the Germans in a discounted price if you are considering BMW. The X5 is not going to have a third row. The X7 is going to be too large, and that starts in the $90,000 price. So you're seeing what you're getting here. Towing is at 5,000 pounds for the super handling all-wheel drive, and Audi is going to be the same with the pricing structure, because you're going to be spending a minimum of near $70,000, where this comes in at a sweet spot because you're not necessarily fully loaded. You got the sport exterior trim, but you got pretty much all of the desirable features in the interior. Leaving us with Genesis, that has a coupe and they have the non-coupe, which will have the third row seats. But they only offer it in 2 trims. They do have 2 different engine options because they throw in the twin turbo engine to the V6, which actually has a lot more power than this. But yet again, you're spending around $80,000. And once you start going into that price point, you can get the Type S, and it would still equate to a discounted price compared to anybody in its class. The rear gets chicane LED taillights that integrate into the tailgate. The Acura badging, here is where I feel they could have kind of cleaned it up, maybe extended the spoiler lip on the roof, because that would give it more aerodynamics, theoretically speaking. Then you could put this underneath here to keep more of an aggressive style, especially when you're going into the A-Spec. The lower is going to get the dual exhaust tips, and you'll have the more sporty bumper, front and rear parking sensors with a 360-degree reverse camera. Now, I personally went Infiniti QX60 because you get better towing capabilities at 6,000 pounds. The MPGs, it's really not a big deal. It's a turbocharged 4, and I actually dislike it. We have been thinking about getting rid of it. We've just put a little bit over 1,000 miles and had it for a couple of months. I'll have a review on the channel shortly about it. We did want to get an Acura. I just was thinking $80,000 for a Type S, especially if you're going advanced, getting all the features. It does have a lot of bang for your buck, but now you're in German territory, which they're known for their performance and their luxury. Which way would you go? Let me know in the comments. Power liftgate on all trims, going into 18.1 cubic feet of storage behind the third row. You have a storage cubby here. Got my finger stuck there. We got a 12-volt charger. Bag holders here. They can hold 3 kg, nothing on this side underneath the floor. You have a little bit of storage, but the Pilot actually still does a better job here because this goes a little bit deeper so you can fit that seat, which I'll show you in the interior specs. You can flip this over, so I do like this because now if you have wet objects or maybe you just clean the car, you can put it here and it's not gonna stink the vehicle. Split fold the rear bench, you just pull these tabs. And that will increase cargo to 48.4 cubic feet of storage. Unfortunately, to fold down the second row, you have to come back in here, and it folds down at a 40-20-40 split because that's the actual seat itself that folds down. And that will maximize cargo capacity to 95 cubic feet. The seat belt, you can disconnect it, but if you're gonna be using 3 in the center, you'll have to use it. The key fob to the Acura MDX A-Spec. 12-way power seat adjustment is standard on all trims. Heated front seats is standard, and it comes standard as a leatherette trim. Sport bucket front seats is going to be on all trims. The Tech package will add the premium Milano leather. There'll still be heated seats. Ventilated seats start here on the A-Spec, and you'll have the ultra suede inserts that come into play. Memory for the driver and passenger, it's 3-stage. 11 speakers come standard, 19 speakers. A nice little intro Acura does. 19 speakers through Bang & Olufsen starts on the Tech, otherwise it's 11 speakers standard. The geometrical brush aluminum starts on this trim, otherwise it'll just be brush aluminum. Glossy black. You have a 12-volt charger right here, so easy for a radar detector, and it's a very sporty design. And this area here has been changed as well as the infotainment screen from last year. Let's fire it up. Last year we integrated a touch screen infotainment. We have Google Assist, Google Play, Google Maps. AM, FM streaming, Bluetooth audio, that's all standard. And it's wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. You have a little quick wedge right here that you could just kind of toggle through. And when we put it into reverse, you have to go to the advance in order to get the 360-degree reverse camera. The glossy black is going to surround here, but I like this dynamic mode selector, the way it is set up. I'm not a huge fan of the push to put it into gear, but a lot of companies are doing that, and this was changed because we used to have an Acura True Touch pad here that would be integrated for this touch screen that was actually pushed back a little bit more so. Open that up, and you got some USB ports there. You have a physical button to turn on and off the sound system and to change the tracks. A little area here that you can put the key fob, or something that I don't do that often. You can put your sunglasses. Wireless charging pad is going to be standard. It would be nice to have a full pass-through because this is a bit bulky. But when you open up here, you got a storage, pins, you can put some notes, open that up, and it's a pretty deep storage pocket with 2 USB-C ports. Leatherette steering wheel is going to start on the base. Leather wrap starts on the Tech. Heated will only be on the Advance. Multifunction, flat bottom, it's perforated. We get the paddle shifts. 12.3 informational display, and yes, it can go through an array of different content for the driver, and you can do it on both sides, including add in the navigation. And when you change the driving mode select, it will change out the way the style is. So sporty, normal, comfort, and snow. Push and hold, and that's going to go to individual, but you can tailor this to make it a little bit more sporty for however you want to drive the vehicle. I typically leave it in a sport or comfort. It's going to tick up the RPM so that way you can drive a little bit more aggressive. The nice thing about this though is if you're looking, check this out. I'm going to turn off the lights, and we're going to turn them back on. It does everything right there, but unfortunately it does not do it with reverse. Leg space, you're going to have plenty of it. You get the sport pedals. Headroom, more than enough. A large panel moonroof, it actually goes into the back. LED interior lights, and you actually do have a holder here for your sunglasses. Auto dimming rear view mirror with the home link is standard on all trims. Heads up display is only going to be on the Advance. Ambient lighting is only going to be on the front for the first 2 trims. Once you go up to this spec, you get 27 different colors, ambient lighting. Door panel and dash, it configures it together nicely. Hard materials are still exposed. That's the only con that I have, because everything else, the touch to feel for over 60 grand, I think you're getting a pretty good value. It's soft to touch here. The Bang & Olufsen sound system comes into play here. One touch up and down for all your windows. You could put a small phone here, but if you're doing any type of aggressive driving, it's going to fall out. A large storage pocket and a beverage holder carved out. For the second row, that's the opening that you have to fit 3 more. Manual sunshades, that starts on the Tech. The door card is going to have the same materials that's found in the front. So I appreciate that they don't strip anything there. And even the storage is about the same size. It's just flipped around because the cup holder would be here, and the same thing here. Now these are manual seat adjustments, and you're going to have that sporty seat behind you. The seats are carved out, so you have plenty of leg room. You got storage. Third climate control is standard. Air vents in the center. USB ports, 12-volt. Home plug is going to be on the Advance. Check out the headroom. You have about 2 inches. Now, when you fold this down, this is your cup holders, storage, and you got your armrest. Now there's a tab here in the front. You pull this and then lift from the back. And now you can pull this completely out. It's going to weigh about 25, maybe 35 pounds. And now you'll have a full pass-through, and basically captain seats, you just don't have the armrest here. Now sliding into the center, you're going to notice that this center seat actually comes up a little bit. You can't adjust this seat like you can adjust the side seats. This is going to be your knee room here. So it's going to be pretty much against the front seats, making it hard for your connectivity, and also the air vents and the climate control. You're going to share some feet space, but not really a lot. Butt, leg, and shoulder space, it's actually pretty good because it's a pretty wide vehicle. Headroom, you sit up higher here, so I only have maybe an inch. My head is pretty much against the panel moonroof. For the third row, push the button, and that's the space that you have to go into the back. So I wouldn't really put my dimensions back here because of my height. Now you're going to have cup holders on both sides. Charging ports is only going to be on the Advance. Sliding this back, can't really do so too much. Now sitting behind me with the seat all the way back, I still won't have leg space, but I'll have it on this side, so you could possibly fit 2 adults in the back without the center seat. But if the seat is reclined, there's no way at 6'3". And headroom, it's going to be a little bit tight because my head is against the headliner. Over 7 inches of clearance, 290 horsepower with 267 pound-feet of torque. Now when you put these numbers into content, the Honda Pilot is 5 horsepower less and 5 pound-feet of torque less. So the reason why I'm saying that is it's about $10,000 less than this spec, and that's fully loaded going that route. But what you're getting with Acura is more premium materials. So the leather, you're getting full Milano leather, and you also get the ultra suede inserts. It's not going to be the same textures that you're receiving. So is it worth the $10,000 upgrade price? That's another thing that we're going to just throw into this review as we're doing this test drive. I'm going to change the driving modes so you can see sport. You'll hear the exhaust filter in a little bit. Put it into normal. You can actually feel the difference in the engagement of the pedal. And now you're not hearing any exhaust note. I have to really hit a higher RPM in order to do so. Super quiet inside though. I really enjoy Acura because it's a smooth vehicle. The way the suspension is, the weight distribution it's pretty good for the most part. It's your everyday luxury vehicle, but it also adds a touch of that performance. And if you need more, they offer that with the Type S. The only thing that I dislike is I feel they hold back just a touch. Because realistically, 5 horsepower and 5 pound-feet of torque more than Honda. Come on, Acura. You could do a little bit better than that, especially for a $10,000 upgrade. I get it. We're getting more premium materials in the interior, but still, more power is usually what happens once you start going into a premium luxury SUV. Now, we have it in sport mode. You're not going to be doing a lot of performance, but this is what you get. Dynamically speaking, and that's that super handling all-wheel drive. I mean, again, ticking the box for the everyday, giving you a touch of the performance, and that's going to take me into some pros and cons. We've already discussed a ton of pros. So we're going to jump into the cons, which has to start off with, why do you not give us a standard 360-degree reverse camera as well as a heads-up display? These things should be standard features on top of giving us the manual sunshades. That should also be standard because I'm going from Honda into Acura. Only having 12-way power seat adjustment, you do unlock 16 when you go into the Type S, but the Type S, you're going to be over 70 grand. And it goes into the $80,000 price pretty quick, especially when you get into the advanced, and you're gonna have like 30 speakers or some crazy amount of speakers in this small of a cabin, which is unheard of, realistically speaking. But going back to here, Honda also gives you 12-way power seat adjustment. Now the seat bolstering to this is a little bit better, but it's still kind of flat. It doesn't really have a true sport seat to it until you go into the Type S because it adds the extra bolstering to the seats. The rear seats, I like how they do the second row because you can have captain seat configuration, but they should have maybe a connection so you have an armrest for those two seats so it separates the Honda and the Acura. Another thing that they do is when you go into the Honda Pilot, they actually give you storage for that center seat that you can take out that you saw in the interior part of the review. In Acura, you don't. Where are you going to put it? You're going to have to leave it in your garage or in your bedroom. Even going over these harsh roads with all this road work, it's still a pretty smooth ride. I will say Lexus will be the more superior in that. Infiniti also has a little bit more of a sporty drive to it. Maneuverability, the steering is a little bit more heavy. I actually appreciate that because you'll have a little bit more feedback. It is nice to get a naturally aspirated V6 though, because I'm really getting sick and tired of these turbo 4s, especially with these vehicles with their curb weight. They're not light, and I get it, they probably did do some engineering to make it a little bit better, but they didn't go crazy with it. I mean, literally, it was just like a Band-Aid, a quick fix, you know? I need another receptacle in my house. I'm gonna just get a damn extension cord. That's what they're doing with these Turbo 4s opposed to the V6. Some other cons about the vehicle, the super handling all-wheel drive system, it's actually pretty unique, but the con that comes into play, it only sends up to 70% power to the rear wheel, and that's the same thing it does in Honda. So yet again, they don't really change a lot of the configuration. In between the two wheels in the rear, it will send up to 100%, and this will also enhance for your stability and cornering purposes. But I would like it to be just a little bit more agile, because this is Acura, this is not a Honda. And they do a lot of the carryovers, which when you're spending about $10,000 more for a fully loaded opposed to a non-fully loaded, I mean, these are things that I would look at as a shopper. Turn radius at a stop point. I'm gonna turn it into sport mode. It's about 2 lanes. Let's rock and roll. And now we're gonna do that brake check so that way you can see the braking. Now the braking feels a little bit more heavy. It can stop on a dime, but you do feel the weight of the vehicle a little bit more so than my liking. Not as smooth as the Type S braking. The sensors are good though. It does have the forward collision warning, pedestrian detection, lane keep assist, rear backup assist. But these are also standard features pretty much in all vehicles nowadays. Adaptive cruise control, it works pretty good with the lane keep assist. It actually will hold you for about 0.2 to 0.3 miles. You don't have to really be too engaged. You just gotta tap the steering wheel here and there. It's not gonna be something like a Tesla. All the windows are acoustic on the side and the front windscreen. With the 20-inch wheels, I mean, it's still a pretty smooth day in and day out drive. So if you are being skeptical about saying, well, I don't want to option the A-Spec even though it has the more sporty style, I want to go into the technology, either of the two are going to be great. You pretty much unlock most of the same features in these two categories. The A-Spec, I feel, is kind of the sweet spot of the trims because you're pretty much unlocking everything except for maybe 4 or 5 features opposed to the Advance. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check this next video out right here.